Hey everyone, Updog here, and today we are going to talk about a pretty hot topic issue going on right now in the game. It's all about training mats and T4s. Um, how a lot of people are feeling like they are really low on training mats, they're really low on T4s. I've heard that especially more often lately. Gold hasn't been so much of an issue lately, luckily, because they have done a pretty good job of adding that in. So let's take a look at what's going on. Let's break down the math here a little bit. I'll show you what we are currently getting right now in the game and see what kind of changes we should do. So they recently did add in training mats to Cosmic Crucible. Breaking down the math, I won't get in all the details. If you want all the fine details, just let me know in the comments. I can send those to you. But before the Crucible changes were made, now I was taking into account kind of a general average approach to everything here. Like, you know how we get big payouts of training mats with like the flash events and Crucible, we get that weekly. We have the challenges and things like that. So I basically broke everything down into like, what do we get on average per day, taking everything into account. So for the Crucible payouts, I went by, oops, there we go. I went by Platinum 2. I went by Platinum 2 payouts. So that way it kind of captures the middle of the top and the bottom, you know. So you get, for Platinum 2, you get 344 training mats per week. Before that change happened in Crucible, we were getting an average per day of a total of 177 training orange. Now this is all based in orange, the T4 training mats, okay? I just converted everything. Like if we get some purple, like in the daily objectives, we get some blue and like in the flash event, the boot camp. But 4 blues equals an orange, 2 purples equals an orange. So I converted everything to orange training mats, so it's a lot easier to keep track of. So before the Crucible changes were added, we got our free to play was able to get 177 mats per day on average. This is taking the monthly amount basically, because the boot camp is every month. So your monthly amount divided by 30, that's how many on average per day you used to get free to play. If you're buying the 2 passes, the Battle Pass and the Strike Pass, you get some training mats in there. And I took a look at the last 2 iterations of both of those passes, and the pay to win people before the changes were getting 341 per day. So almost double of what free to play would get. Now, with the Crucible changes, that increased both free to play and pay to win by 20%. That's pretty big. I would agree that in the blog it said it would give significant training mats, and I would say 20% is significant, because if you think about it, if you get a 20% raise from your job, that's pretty good. It's a pretty good raise, right? At least in America, anyway. So yeah, so basically to compare what our current state right now, per day, on average, we get 226 free to play training mats. That is enough to take per day one character from 1 to 65 with a little bit extra left over, or you could do like a level 90 to a 92. Or 93 rather, sorry, 93. Now free to play, they could go 90 to 94, I believe. Yeah, with a little bit extra left over. Or let's see, for the level 1 to 70, I believe it is. Yeah, so they get 392 per day. So yeah, that's a little bit extra left over. So that's the difference we're looking at between free to play and pay to win. If you're curious about, like, let's say you're 95 and going up to level 100 now, here's Nightcrawler here. If I go to 96 to 98, that's 249, which is just a little bit over free to play per day. So pretty close, but those, 95 to 100 is really expensive in gold and training mats, of course. So, but that's kind of where we're sitting at. I think it's a pretty reasonable amount of training mats that we're getting now. We'll see how things play out later down the road, as we're getting more characters and we're bringing more characters to 100 and stuff like that. But real quick, a trick that I use for my training mats, you can see here that I have quite a few. As you know, if you've been following me for a while, I like to have a big stash of everything. So my little strategy that I do for training mats is, let's say, so for greens, I wait until I get to like the next level of like 1,000. So for this one, I'll wait till I get to 6,000 on here, right? And then for the blues, if I get over 100, like 50, like if I get 5,100, 5,200, then I'll start spending them down to 5,000. It's a really, trust me, I realize this sounds really weird, but it's been working for me. I haven't ran out of training mats for a long time. So then, for purple, so like right now I have 10,000, right? In the orange I have 10,400. Well, in this situation, I would spend my orange down to 10,000, let this purple one catch up, because if you farm those harder nodes in the campaigns, you'll build up your purples pretty quick. And so, let's say in a couple days, I spend down these orange ones, purple's back up to 10,500. Well, then what I'll do is I'll spend this back to 10,000 and let my orange build up a little bit. And I'll just kind of keep going in between, roughly like an interval of 500 for each of those. Like, if I'm really spending a lot of training mats, I'll bring this down to, bring it down to like 9,500, and then go back to the orange and spend those down to 10,000, something like that. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. It's kind of confusing. In my head, it makes sense. But basically, just try to evenly spend all of these training mats. I know. If I'm crazy, let me know down in the comments. But that's how I do it. That's how I've been able to keep my stock of the training mats going for quite a while now. I have spent quite a bit, as you can see here, the race to 100. I have spent quite a bit of training mats. I'm at 12,000 points here, milestone 9. So I got 10 probably maybe even 11 characters, bio characters anyway. So I've gotten some points. I'll probably get this last milestone here and then be done with it. It's got 1 day left, but I have been spending quite a bit of training mats, and I'm still looking at those numbers. Now, because we're getting a lot more gold lately, I have been farming the training mat nodes. So, Absorbing Man. Yeah, well, I'll have to go back and look through those training mat nodes. But basically, the hard difficulty of the Nexus and Heroes and Villains campaigns that give the training orbs. I've been farming those the last few weeks just to kind of keep up, because I knew this race to 100 was going on, so I knew I'd have to replenish that. So that's another tip. Now, on to T4s. How are we looking on T4s? I think we're not looking so great in the economy right now. So if you take a look, so with a new character comes out, right? Usually you have at least 3 upgrades you want to do, right? You usually want to do the passive, the ult, and the special. Maybe the basic instead of one of the other ones, but essentially it's about 660 T4s that you want to spend per character. And we get a new character about every 10 days, 10 to 14 days. So how many T4s do we get in those 10 days? Well, I just did a calculation for 10 days. So again, this is the average over a month. I took our monthly total, took it divided by 30, and this is how many we get per day. We get about 83 per day. Now this is if you spend 960 energy in this right here. So you get this T4 here, a couple T4s here. If you max the World Warrior every week, the World Warrior, of course, is our friend right here. The Alliance milestone here. You max that every week. And then I went off of War Season rewards of 101 to 25%. I added in Block Party. I added in Raid Nodes if you did 5. Let's see. Oh, you get 5 from the Raid Nodes. So, you know, based on if you're doing Incursion or Doom or whatever, then you have like the rank or the raid payout, the daily raid payout. And I used Incursion 1 for this, just to kind of be a little bit more inclusive of everyone, but the rewards here. And then what else? Oh, if you're the raid season, if you rank 1,000 to 5,000 on that, there's T4s in there. So there's a lot of factors involved. I tried to capture as many, you know, you could be higher, you could be a little bit lower, but on average, the average person should be getting about 83 per day. Of course, there's a quick rumble too. It seems to run about twice a month where you get some T4s. So all that into consideration, every time a new character comes out, let's say 10 days, you get about 830 T4s. But if you're upgrading 3 of these abilities, that's 660. If you upgrade these 3 here, that's 660 T4s. That doesn't leave you a lot of T4s left over, especially if there's a team that comes out with reworks. Like, we'll just use Hivemind as an example because that's the more relevant team lately that's come out that had some reworks on it that maybe I'd say probably half the player base probably didn't have Carnage and Venom builds from before, back in 2020, by the way, which is when they were relevant last. So a lot of people had to dip into some T4s for the reworks as well. So that definitely, that gap there where it's about what, 40, 30, 70, 170. So you get 170 extra per 10 days. That's not even a basic upgrade. Let's see here, this one here, yeah, it's 180 for a basic. So that's not even one basic upgrade as you have for your extra left over. So yeah, basically twice a week you can buy 1 upgrade based on how much you get on average per day. So that's pretty low compared to like the training mats that we're getting now. So I'm going to share this video with the devs. Make sure you leave down in the comments which one you're struggling with more. I really would like to know, so that way I can pass it along to them as well. But I think T4s need to be increased just like they did in Crucible. They could do it easily with like Block Party. They could run Block Party once a month instead of once every 2 months. They could add more into anywhere else. Anywhere else that we normally do stuff. You know, I don't mind working for it a little bit, but also we need more if we're going to be having to do all these upgrades to make the characters work optimally. So I would say, let's see, if we not double it, let's say if we do it, yeah, if we do 100, if we get 120 per day average, that should solve it right there, I think, personally. But let me know down in the comments what you think, what your opinion is, and don't forget to subscribe and make sure you spend those resources wisely, everyone, and we'll catch y'all later.